Hey, what's going on? Coming at you from Chicago, Illinois. And before I get into this video, with some of the last videos that I've made and posted, I've kind of been doing this theme of the dangers of spending too much time online and just the dangers of technology. And I want to follow that theme with this video, and I'm going to be discussing with this article that I found with this whole online dating and people apparently they get caught up with these scammers, and they get caught up with people who present themselves to be something which they're actually not. And if you've seen some of my older videos, just as an example, I talked about a Belgian man who got involved with an artificial intelligent chatbot who convinced himself to take his own life for the sake of saving humanity. And tragically he left his wife and his 2 kids behind. Or I talked about also, apparently they have this artificial intelligent therapist where you can talk about your mental health problems to. And I was discussing in my prior video how crazy that is to talk to a computer about your mental health problems as opposed to speaking to another human being. I mean, it's really getting out of control. And you need to decide just how seriously you're going to take the potential dangers of spending excessive amounts of time online, because with this society that we live in, if you're in a work environment and you see some of your coworkers spending excessive amounts of time online on their smartphones, we can start to believe that that's normal, that maybe somehow because they're spending so much time online on their smartphones that somehow we need to also be spending similar amounts of time with our smartphones. But I think that we really do. We have to think for ourselves. We have to acknowledge the potential pitfalls, the potential dangers of spending all this excessive time online. So, with that being said, I'm gonna read this article. It's titled "Swipe with Confidence. Bumble dating app integrates AI to combat catfishing." And I found this article on foxbusiness.com, and the article's a little bit old. This is from February of this year, 2024. And then right underneath the title of the article, it's subtitled "Bumble's New AI-Powered Deception Detector Helps Weed Out Fake Profiles." And normally with these videos, I'll start reading the very first paragraph. But with this video, I'm going to skip over the first few paragraphs, and I'm going to skip a little bit more towards the middle of the article. And it says, according to Merriam-Webster, the dictionary defines the act of catfishing as being a person who sets up a false personal profile on a social networking site for fraudulent or deceptive purposes. And again, I'm going to skip over a few paragraphs. The site explains that scammers operate quickly to gain your trust before fishing for information they can use to scam you. In some cases, They'll reel you in so that they can directly ask for money or gifts. Scammers will also invent ways to avoid meeting up in person or find excuses to get out of making video calls so that they're able to conceal their true identities. In one instance, a Florida man was conned out of nearly $500,000 after an online scammer developed a relationship with him and asked him to invest in cryptocurrency. This is according to Cyber News. Jones' LinkedIn post noted that a whopping third of all app users are concerned about being scammed. Why put yourself in a position to be concerned about being scammed? Why not just totally avoid using this as an option to meet a potential mate? Why not learn to work up the courage to approach somebody, to ask them out on a date, and just avoid a lot of this nonsense? If for somebody who's afraid of approaching somebody, I mean, you just think about what's the worst that could happen. The other person politely declines, and they move on, and you move on, and then that's it. Some people, they go online for that reason, because they're too afraid to approach somebody in the real world. But if once you start doing it's not this whole fiasco that you work up in your mind that it turns out to be. It's just you work up the courage and you meet people in the real world without having to get involved with these shenanigans. And the worst case that could happen is that you, over time, as you approach more people, you just build your confidence and learn to deal and handle with rejection in the real world. So that was that article. I'm going to read a little bit from this book, As It Was in the Days of Noah, written by Jeff Kinley. And I'm going to be reading from this chapter called Carpenter Prophet. And this is right towards the end of that chapter. It says, specifically, Jesus says, like in Noah's day, people in the end times will be going about their lives, doing business as usual. They'll be living for themselves without giving God a passing thought. Those in Noah's day had chosen to ignore and reject God's message of impending judgment. Likewise, his future judgment will come when unbelievers least expect it. The flood, judgment, eternity, none of this was on their radar. So, what do I take away from all this information? Just like I finished reading, they were living for themselves without giving God a passing thought. So, for these people on these dating apps that were deceived by looking at a deceptive profile, or they got involved with a scam, it makes me wonder what kind of a relationship, if any, did they have with their creator. It's normal to want to seek intimacy in this life and in this existence, but we have to use our judgment. We have to, if you feel that it's a problem that you're not involved in an intimate relationship, start with a simple prayer to your creator and explain the situation to him. And also realize that you have other options other than trying to seek a potential mate. You could try to rekindle some of the relationships you have with your coworkers, or you could try to rekindle maybe some of the family relationships that you have. It doesn't always have to be strictly being in that intimate couple relationship. You can be surrounded by people who care for you, who love you, and again, there's options. It's not. I know for some people they have that narrow mind that that they're alone, that they're lonely, and that in their minds that the only remedy is to be in that intimate boyfriend-girlfriend relationship. But we need to open our minds and realize that there's options. I believe that when it comes to our Creator, He's going to want us to appreciate what we have, and to be grateful for what we have. And I also believe that when it comes to the enemy of our soul and his demon forces, he's going to try to, try to lead us towards an easy route. He's going to try to tempt us and fool us and deceive us. And I think taking the harder approach, working up the courage to meet somebody in the real world and asking them out on a date, and I think that is so much more preferable than getting involved in something sinister and getting involved in a potential scam. So, again, just because you're single, that doesn't mean that there's not other options other than being in an intimate boyfriend-girlfriend relationship. So, that was today's video, and I hope to see you guys in the next one.